today's episode, we're building the Surfer prototype. Welcome to Stefan Custom Guitars. I start by printing out my template and then cutting it out for the neck and the body. I then trace both templates onto a sheet of hardboard, cut it out and refine it on my sander. I try to get it as close to the line as I can, and the rest I do by hand. This guitar is my own original design. Here I use a file to refine the edge from any bumps. At this point I make another copy to have a more refined edge. It's very important to have the template as perfect as possible. It's not bad, but it could use a bit more work, just a bit more sanding to refine it. Here I mark the positions of the tuner holes and the positions for the screws. I trace the shape onto a 3/4 inch maple blank and cut it out. I use my sander to get a bit closer to the pencil line. Some double-sided tape to stick my template on top. And now it's ready to be routed. I ended up getting a bit of chip out there because the surface was uneven on the table. I fixed it later. And there it is, the shape routed out. In the next section I will be refining it a bit further. I'll be using this really nice piece of ebony. And it will need to be planed flat. I attach it to my bench using masking tape and super glue, a trick that is commonly used throughout the guitar building community. I first learned this from Mr. Ben Crow from Crimson Guitars. I started with hand plane, but it wasn't the best tool to use for ebony. It's a really hard, dense wood, and had a hard time trying to plane it this way. Here is the murder scene. I managed to get it flat after using a few different tools. Ebony is really messy to work with. It's almost like charcoal. Now that one side is flat, I can use my sander with a fence to do the other side. Some really nice grain is starting to come out from this ebony piece. It's getting there, but not quite done yet. Still needs a bit more work. This is a jig I made to further flatten the fretboard and the neck. It's basically some sandpaper on top of a piece of MDF. I check periodically with my straight edge to see if I'm getting the flatness I'm looking for. Next, I trace the shape of the neck on the board and cut it out. Here I put down some numbers of how thick it is in those areas. In the end, it ends up being 5.5 mil with a slight taper towards the upper frets. Here I adjust the area that needs to be slightly thinner and make sure it's the thickness I'm looking for. I draw my center line and make sure it all lines up with the neck. In the next section I'll be marking the distance between the frets. And then onto the fret slots.